oh, I got a sneak preview to see the PDFs that you're going to be giving as a handout at the end. And I just want to tell you, if you get nothing else out of this other than studying those PDFs and like, they're gold. We're going to tell you how to get them at the end. And no, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You're simply going to have to send an email to get it. Okay. But hang in there. So today we're going to be talking about finding joy when life sucks the joy out of you. And I think it's kind of apropos for where we are. I think all of us have a few questions. Like somebody DM'd me and she said, honestly, like, are we supposed to find joy when we're sitting like this? Like when so many people around us are really going through horrors, and they are. Doesn't it feel incongruent to a kind, compassionate person to be joyful when other people are sad? And then somebody else was just mentioning this, it seems impossible. Like, how can you be happy when so much stuff is around? So I think we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to start by answering the first question because it is a phenomenal question. And actually, I think it's the basis for everything that we're going to do. And the answer is mitzvah gdola liot besimcha tamid. Hashem didn't say when there is a plague, it's okay for you not to be besimcha. And how can Hashem tell us how to feel? A feeling, it's like you can't tell somebody, feel this, feel that. You feel what you feel based on the situation that you're in. But Hashem is saying that you need to be besimcha tamid, that you have to understand that everything that happens is for the good. We don't understand it. We don't need to understand it. We don't have the full picture. But if we have emunah shlema, that this is done for our own good, it is hard. Growth happens where it's hard, but we need to find simcha, and we need to understand and be grateful that what Hashem is doing is with love and compassion and for our own good. And we will not find out the reasons while we're in this world, but we have to have the faith that it was done specifically for us with love. When we patch a child, or in the days where patching a child was allowed, I don't patch, but I was patched. It was with love, right? You know, our parents wanted to put us into shape, but it was with love. So for sure, what's going on right now, it's to teach us a lesson, but it's for sure done with love, and we have to find a way to be besimcha. And I really believe that if Hashem sees that we are besimcha, that we're suffering for our fellow Jew, but that we're accepting and introspecting, he will be able to, he will find the right time to change things a little bit, you know, but it depends on
I think what you're saying is that, you know, which I've been trying to speak about a little bit, is that it's not but, it's and. We can feel pain of another person, and we can be joyful at the same time, whether it's in gratitude for what we have or just joy at life, period.
Exactly.
And it's not mutually exclusive.
100%. And we're happy to learn a lesson. I mean, if we're going to learn the lesson and we're going to become better people, isn't that an exciting time? I mean, we're being patched really hard, but we're also learning a whole lot. And I'm actually, I know that I'm really taking the time to introspect on the situation. And I think that what I want to talk about, the joy that I want to speak about, is more tachlis, you know, it's more steps of what you can do to implement joy in your life. That doesn't mean that you're going to have times that you're going to grieve, you're going to sit and say Tehillim, and at that time you're going to cry your heart out, 100%, but you still running a family, you're running a ship, and it has to run with joy. We want Hashem to be in our temple, in our homes. He comes and he participates when there's joy.
I think that's beautiful. And I think that's being mindful of the constant juxtaposition that we're asked, to live with in terms of that. So I'll say that in looking at your handouts, there was one line that stood out that fits so well with this. You were talking about joy being a constant process. So why don't you jump into that a little bit?
Joy is not constant. Life is not really a straight line. It's peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. We have moments of incredible joy, harmony, everything is going well, and then it goes down. But it's in the valleys that things grow. It's not in the peaks, right? The agriculture is done in the valleys. That's where things flourish. I mean, in the hardship is where you have growth. The only constant thing is the work that you have to do to achieve joy. That doesn't stop, but joy goes up and down. And everybody has to understand that it's the journey. It's not a place where you're going to do the work and then you say, I achieved it. There is no such thing. You are never done doing the work to be joyful. But we all want to be joyful. But sometimes we think, oh, I did so much work and now this happened and life sucks and I don't have the strength anymore. It doesn't work like that. Until the day you leave this earth, you will have to do the work if you want to be joyful. It's a choice. And it's up to us, but that also so empowering. I mean, it's not up to something external. It's not up to somebody else. My joy depends on me. And there's very specific actions that I can take to be joyful. Isn't that amazing that we have this power to control?
I think that's incredible. Like when I was reading that, to me, it was very liberating on two fronts. On one front, it was like liberating in the fact that sometimes I think the pressure is on to achieve joy. And I think that the mistake in thinking that we can achieve joy is then when we don't have joy, we're like, oh, wow, okay, I guess I didn't achieve it. No, you achieved it for the moment. And you got to rework this on a constant basis. And that's just so liberating, to think about. And then the other piece, like you're saying, is that it's completely not dependent on anything external. It's dependent on the stuff that we're going to do.
Yes. Hard work. It's a lot of hard work.
So tell us a little bit about this work.
So we'll go into the work, and there is, I split into, and it's not complete, okay? I think that it's never complete also because different people, different things will speak to them, right? So I created this based on my experience, and I consider myself joyful, and trust me, I've gone through a lot. I mean, I don't talk much.
If you want to know a little bit about Miriam, you can go back to the previous live that we did that's on YouTube.
Yes. But I don't even talk a lot about the things that I went through. First of all, I'm more of an introvert. I'm not such a, I feel like the work that I do is more internal, but I've gone through a lot, and I just don't want people to think, oh, this is this person who has this perfect life. That is not the situation. I promise you one thing, that I've told some people what I went through, and very little. And they told me that they don't understand how I breathe and walk this earth. So I know pain, I know sorrow, and okay, I'm not a victim. I'm not a survivor. I'm a thriver. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. And also the women that I interview, how they did it. And from that, I put together those top 10. But there is more. Those are my top 10, okay? So first of all, the first 4 items that I'm going to mention, they're very actionable, and they are more about process. About your day to day. It's not so much about internal work, but it's about external work, okay? And in a way, I find them simpler, personally, easier to put something in place as far as my routine than to change internally. I find that it requires a lot more hard work, at least for me. So one thing is to create a structure for your day. And I say like that, make your bed. Start by making a bed. I don't leave my bedroom before I make my bed. I get up, I make my bed, I already feel accomplished. Don't we feel great? I can already scratch something from my list. Good for me. I pat myself on the back all day. I'm not afraid. Say, Miriam, you're great. And you know what?
But
You're
nobody
all
else is going to say it, right?
Oh, they should. They should. You know, I taught my children, don't wait for somebody else to pat you on the back. Do that yourself. You deserve it. Being humble has nothing to do with recognizing what you're good at, as long as you also recognize your weaknesses and you work on them. But pat yourself on the back. So I have a very structured day. I wake up, I make my bed, I go make my coffee, I sit outside, and I spend 10 minutes with myself. And those 10 minutes, and you can do as much time as you want. There are people that do this for an hour, 2 hours. I don't have the time, but you go based on your day. I think about my day. I am mindful. What do I want to accomplish today? What do I want to feel today? How am I going to set my day for the rest of the day? What is going to look like? And I spend 10 minutes with myself. I don't know how to meditate. I would love to learn it. If you know how to do it, my mind is hyperactive. It's going to become, I'm going to need to learn it. But for now, find time to be quiet with yourself. It's also it's your time. So if you have little kids, I don't have little kids anymore, but if you have little kids, you're going to have to wake up 15 minutes before they wake up so you can have that quiet time. And that may not be easy, because if they wake up at 7 and you need to wake up now 15 minutes sooner, it's early and you're tired, but make an effort, because this is pressure time for yourself that you're going to really, it's going to set the tone for your day. When you do those 15 minutes, think about your body, your mind, and your spirit. So maybe that's the time that you're going to dive in. You're going to write on a journal if you like journals, or you're going to read something. You're going to learn a new word. Open the dictionary, learn a new word. Do whatever is good for you. Stretch, exercise a little bit. Set the time that you want. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, because if you start saying, I'm going to do this for an hour and that for an hour and that for an hour, now it's 3 hours, you're not going to do anything. But if you start with 15 minutes, you'll set the day and you'll have some time for yourself. When I talk about structure your day, I am very structured with my day. I'm a workaholic. I love to work. So I go, I do that. I go to work. Then I eat breakfast. I don't even eat breakfast very early, because I feel like I right away need to go to my computer. But I have my structure, and it's very similar each day. I'm not suffering from this quarantine, because my life is a quarantine. Unless I'm traveling for business, I'm always sitting at my computer. So I'm very structured. So create a structure. Take a few minutes to sit down, create a structure, and repeat it every day. That routine will give you a sense of security. Make your nighttime to be another 10 minutes of Zen time. Make a cup of tea. I always make a cup of tea. I take it with me to bed. I sit by my bed. I listen to either a nice song or a podcast or something very tranquil. And I start lowering that high blood pressure that I have during the day to start and get myself ready to bed. So create the structure that it's good for you. Okay, so then
could I interrupt you for a second? What about a person who's just by nature not a structured person, right? I'm the creative freak. I'm the other side of this. So it's interesting, because I obviously I've run businesses and stuff like that. There's a sense of structure. It's not like everything's a free for all. And I do have like a couple of routines that I stick to. But the joke always is, any of my followers know this, if I get medication to take for 10 days, I don't think in my life I have ever finished 10 days. Just doesn't happen with me. What I'm wondering, if maybe for those kind of folks, maybe even taking one piece that's a structured piece, meaning to say, even if there's one thing that you're going to do, because sometimes an entire routine scares the people like myself, but,
yeah,
it's interesting, because I started the tea thing at night. It's just, it became a piece of me, and It's like literally it's every night I'm with my tea. Now, my mornings are my life, so that's, a different story. But I just think that what you're saying has a lot of truth to it, about creating something that we look forward to, creating something to kind of start the day and end the day with, like those brackets, and
Yes.
all the mush that happens in between.
Yeah, create your morning and your night ritual. It could be 10, 15 minutes in the beginning and at the end, and start like that. When it becomes a habit, you can incorporate something else. It's whatever works for you. But I think that when you know what your day looks like, more or less, you feel there's a sense of security, that there isn't, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's so many scary new things that you weren't expecting. But when you have some kind of a routine, I think it's very helpful. Okay.
So once you have that, what's your next step?
So the next thing is it's not like step by step, but it's something that I find that people ignore. We have 5 senses, right? Sense of smell, hearing, sight, taste, and touch, right? Those are very important senses, and we forget that we need to feed those senses, all of them. So make sure each day to incorporate something that feeds your senses. So for example, hearing, put nice music. Nothing that I'm going to tell you is life-changing, but hearing music saves lives. Are you depressed right now? Put lively, good music. I've been listening to Yesh Nisim, this. I'm an Avel, and I'm telling you, I'm listening to this Jewish like prayer songs because I believe it's saving my life right now. And I truly believe that music can save a life when if you fall into a depression, you fall into a sadness, you put a tefillah, a song that it's a tefillah, and it's going to take you out of that bad mood. If you listen to non-Jewish music, whatever, do what pleases you. Sight, for me, it's very important. Nature. I'm very, very connected to nature. So I go outside, I look at the clouds, I look at the stars, I look at the trees. For me, it's very important. You can count stars, you can look at clouds and look at the formations. Stay like that. I'm going to go outside, I'm going to look at the clouds, I'm going to find 3 objects in the clouds, and then I'm going to walk inside. But you are using your sense of vision in such a healthy way. Feed your senses, touch your family members, hug, kiss. Now it's the quarantine. Okay, don't put your mouth in somebody's, mouth. Be careful. But the sense of touch, and like a baby, take oils and massage the body of the baby. This is so good for the mommy, and it's so good for the baby. All the senses, find ways to feed your senses. It's going to bring you joy. That's what we want, right? We're after joy.
Yeah. I'm curious what you do with your, like, do you make a list of like consistently things that you feed with joy, or do you like alternate? Like there's just always something for each sense?
I don't have a list. I am very attuned to my senses. I have scented oils. When I have next to my bed a bottle of scented oil, before I go to sleep, I smell it. I had the Rebbe in my house, and he had a little box that he was given by somebody who was somebody, and he had inside psamim, and he used to smell it every day. It was next to his table where he saw people. He smelled it all the time. Sense of smell is very important. Have a bottle of perfume even. You don't have to buy oils. Take a perfume, put next to something that pleases you. Bake cookies. People can sell homes if the home smells like freshly baked cookies. Why? Because the sense of smell talks so much to us. It's so important. So I like to walk barefoot on, I'm sorry, I like earth. I like dirt. I like sand. I'm a farmer by, I don't know, in my previous life, I must have been a farmer. So I will take my shoes off and I'll go to the grass and I'll walk on the grass barefoot. I feel grounded. But I don't have a list. I just make sure to feed my senses. Now, the more you do it, your senses will ask for it. You will feel the need to smell something. You'll feel the need to hear something beautiful. And and you'll see that your body the more you are attuned to it, you will notice that your body is asking for it.
Right. No, that makes so much sense, because as with anything, any habit that we feed, our body starts to ask for whatever this habit is. It starts to go into it. Okay. Yeah. So far, I think we talked about setting a morning and evening routine as kind of the structures to, I'm just going back to that for a second. One of the things that it's speaking to me with is that there's just so much chaos right now. One of the things I was talking about is that one of the hardships that I have been having with this virus is that it's affecting the helpers of the field. We've never had a crisis where the people at the front lines can't do their work because their hands are tied behind their back, because there simply isn't manpower. We've been having this with various, from soup kitchens to anything, just not being able to keep up with demand. And I think the chaotic piece is what may be throwing a lot of people, is just this feeling of like the world is spinning out of my control. And I think setting something that is a routine can bring that level of chaos down. So we spoke about that, and then we spoke about feeding the senses. Okay, what do you have as the next thing?
Okay, so creating goals and challenges, especially in a time right now that everything is so chaotic. Give yourself a challenge, something that's hard, that's going to occupy your mind and your time in a positive way. Stop listening to what's going on in the world. Stop listening to every report. Stop counting how many people are dead. A lot of people are dead. A lot. Right now, what you need to do is be healthy for yourself, for your family, and you need to occupy your mind with something positive. So now it's the time to learn a new language, to learn a new instrument, to take a master class. I went out to the master class website. It's $180. You get free access of any master class. I looked, and Leibovitz, the photographer, is like, they're all masters. I want to do that. I'll do it with my family. Well, let's study together. I discussed with my family, and we're picking our language so we can study together. It cannot be easy.
That's a great idea.
It's not about hanging up the laundry. It's not about something that you're gonna go and you're gonna do it and it's done. It's something that will create more structure in your life. Now it's the time that we're sitting as a family and we're taking an online course on photography. Everybody takes your camera. We're going to sit around the computer together and we're going to do it. This is the time, and you're going to feel purpose. You're going to feel, that you are creating something, that you're innovating, and that you're growing. And
yeah, somebody just said she does planting. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything, like you said, that's challenging in some way, but challenging in a good way. When you said challenging at first, I was like, I don't think I can have brain power for anything more. But challenging and doing something that you've always really wanted to do, or that you feel like, when I get around to it. Well, now
look, I have to tell you something. I've done things. I love to challenge myself. I have this is not for now, but one thing that I did in the past is that I decided I was going to do a fundraising for my school. And I did it from beginning to end, everything. We raised $11,000. We had it was about, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago. It was a tremendous amount of work, a lot of work. I can't even tell you how much work, but I felt so useful. It was such a win for me. And it taught me how to do an event from beginning to end. So take a project upon yourself, do something great, and you'll feel you'll feel joy. At the end of the day, you feel joy. You're proud of yourself. You feel joy. Okay? So the next thing that I want to talk about is shifting a little bit from a perfection versus progress. Okay? We're all the time taught to do things well, to be perfect, to be the perfect student, to be the perfect wife, to be the perfect this, to be the perfect that. I hate it. There is no such thing. Only God is perfect. We're all imperfect. It's time for us to accept our imperfections. What we need is progress. What we need is to move forward and do it. Wasn't perfect? Great. What can I learn from this? Next time I'm going to do it better. But I accomplished and I did. I did something. So I think that I hear a lot of moms freaking out that they have to teach their children and not teachers. They have 4, 5, 6 kids at home and they don't know the material and they don't know how to teach the children. I don't know. My parents were very strict with me. I come from a very intellectual family and I suffered. It was hard. If I didn't get an A, why didn't you get an A? That's how I was raised. And I promised myself I would not to do that with my children. And I don't care. My kids, they don't want to study, don't study. Meantime, this attitude, I have straight A kids who are like, Ma, I have to do this. No, you don't. Can we all have fun now together? And, sometime, and now it's not the time of perfection. Now, don't worry about the math. I'm going to tell you what your kids are learning right now. Your kids have the most incredible lesson that none of us had. They would learn the most important messages. How do you react in time of tragedy?
Love it.
This is what you're teaching your children. Forget about the math. Yes, they should have a structure. And if there is a Zoom class, they have to. But forget about the grade. Forget about these things. Just be joyful at home. Your kid will see that you have gratitude, that you're not shouting, that you're not strangling anybody. They're going to learn the most valuable lesson of their lives. Trust me.
Yeah, and it's so true because I caught myself at one point where I had realized that I was in a space where I'm very chilled, I'm very relaxed and stuff like that, but I need my space a couple hours a day, just everybody get out. And I live, Baruch Hashem, in a very tiny apartment and everyone is underfoot. And the first couple of days I was really like trying to, and I was stressed about the fact that I didn't have the space. And I caught myself at some point and I said, what's the vibe that I'm giving? Is that you're annoying because you're in my space. That's not the message I want my kids to get. That's my thing that I need to work through. And once I looked at myself in the mirror that way, then there was the shift of like, okay, we're gonna restructure this. And I have to tell you, it also, when you do that, it kind of opens yourself to all different possibilities. So I bought a hospital table, actually, the ones that they have in the hospital for
Yes.
this. So I could lock my bedroom and that's my desk.
Yes.
It goes to my bed and I work on my bed that way with that. That's literally the only space we have. But when we get stuck on the perfection, then we actually shut a lot of doors. That's been my experience at least.
It's exactly that. Now it's a different situation in life and we all have to adapt, but we have to always rethink what is the message that I want to give out and what is important. So, now I don't have any help in the house. I used to, have somebody who washed my floors 4 times a week. And now it's twice a week. And that's okay, Don't walk barefoot, you won't dirty your feet, It is what it is. Not perfection, progress, right?
Right. No, I really like that line. Okay, that's going to become my little new line.
Okay, the next thing is changing perspective, okay? This, I always talk about it because when you have to do house chores, there is a little bit of a resentment, right? Like, I work and I have to do chores, or I do this and I have to do chores, or I have to unload the dishwasher every single day, and people don't think. Nobody comes into the kitchen and think for themselves, maybe I should have mommy unload the dishwasher. So now you're unloading the dishwasher and you're like really upset, right? And you're like taking each plate like, for goodness sakes, I have to do that again, right? So I one day decided I'm going to change my perspective on house jobs, chores. And I'm going to see them as mitzvot. Each one is a mitzvah. And when I am unloading the dishwasher, I'm saying, I'm gaining points. I'm gaining points. Like, let me tell you something. This point system, my friends, my daughter's friends already, they want points. They come to my house and they're like, I want points. What can I do for points? Because I'm giving out points, right? Somebody does something and I'm like, you got points. And they're like, what points? Where are the points? You got points. Hashem gave you points. How do you know? I know Hashem gave you points. You got points. So now everybody comes into my house and they want points. And I remember after my husband had a stroke, I went to the doctor's office to get a medication and they were nasty to me and they sent me home and then I had to come back and I was so upset and I left the office and I came home and I said the following to my family. I just gained so many points because all I wanted was to strangle that nurse. And I didn't. But I got so many points. So many points.
So for every person you want to strangle right now, and you
I don't want to strangle too many people in my life. I wanted to strangle. But whatever it is in life, you can see it as a chore, you can see it as an annoyance, or you can see an opportunity for a mitzvah, for a good deed to get points. So when you're unloading the dishwasher, if you are upset, it's a chore, you get no points. If you do it besimcha, it's a mitzvah and you're getting points. So do you understand as wives, as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, as husbands, as any human, how many opportunities for points we have? And it all depends on our attitude. It's our choice. It's our decision if this is point worthy or not.
Amazing. You know what? You flip this mindset on its head and you take something that's like a drudgery and you make it into something that's, that's just something to look forward to in a particular way. And, that certainly can help at this point. That's for sure.
Yeah. And now that we're home, we have so many tasks, so many jobs, and look at them as mitzvot. They are mitzvot. When you're taking care of your family, if you do it with love, it is a mitzvah. I promise you that. I am so certain of it. I have no doubt. Because you're bringing harmony into the home.
Yeah, you know what? This is true of any person. And I always say this, it takes only one person to change a dance, right? If you're ever dancing at a wedding and there's lots of people and one person wants to change that dance step, all it takes is one. And the next person starts looking and seeing, what are you doing with your feet, right? And before you know it, the whole circle has changed. Mm-hmm. I see family dynamics where one person chooses to change an attitude within themselves and an entire dynamic shifts. It's almost impossible that it should stay the same. Sometimes it has a little earthquake in between. That's normal. But the dynamic of being able to say, I can only control my happiness and my mood and nobody else's. And I want to create an island of serenity for me and an island of joy for me. So I'm going to feed my senses. I'm going to create my structure, even if it's chaotic in the rest of the house. And even if it's chaotic in the rest of my life, I can create this space for me. That's so much of what I'm taking from you. I love this.
I want to just say one more thing about changing perspective, because I don't want people to think that it's only relating to chores. The changing perspective affects so many parts of your life. Here's another example. You're driving and somebody cuts your car off. You're livid. The person could have killed you. You want to tell him that. You want to commit suicide, go jump off a bridge. Don't affect my life. You can change the perspective and say, his wife is in the car, she's in labor, and they're running to the hospital. Oh, wow. I'm so happy that he cut me off. I hope he makes it. And I hope that the baby's born in the hospital. Suddenly, that person that you did want to strangle, you were wishing him well. Everything in life is like that. Every person that hurt you, every person that said something not nice to you, somebody took your your spot, somebody didn't say good Shabbos in shul, whatever it is.
Right, and there are bigger things in life. Sometimes people hurt us, and I think you and I have spoken about this. This doesn't mean you be a martyr and allow someone to, God forbid, take advantage of you in a way that's inappropriate, obviously. We're not talking about that kind of thing. We're talking about shifting perspective on the everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say to myself, and I wonder if you what your thoughts would be on this. Sometimes I say to myself, if my kid was saying this, what would I say? And so many times I'd be like, my gosh, why is this kid making a big deal of it, right? So why am I? Right? Sometimes if I look at it that way, I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't be okay with somebody else making this big of a deal of something. So maybe I should be letting go also. And those are on the smaller or larger things in life. But obviously, like I said, we're barring extenuating circumstances. We're not talking about things that are obviously, dangerous in any emotional, physical, way.
Yeah, but it's in every aspect. You're 100% right. And when it comes to the situation right now, and you are not allowed to go out of the house, right? And you're stuck, you have to change the perspective of, instead of I'm being inconvenienced, maybe I'm saving a life. Maybe the fact that I stayed home, I saved a life. It could be. We don't know who's affected, who's infected and who's not. So it's all about shifting. It's a decision, because joy is a decision, right? Joy is a decision that you make. You're in charge of your joy. And changing those perspectives will make you more joyful. So it's a choice that you have.
It's so absolutely true. I can't even tell you. I'm going to share this here. Some of the people who are viewing this may see that I'm yawning, which is a little out of character for me. I've been working on literally almost no sleep. We're kind of at the front lines, if you will, dealing with death and stuff of that sort. And I'm dealing with half a team, because half my team is sick. So I'm working, four times the pace. And it's at a time where everything comes and hits you. And at some point, it can get very overwhelming. And I keep seeing that when I take that deep breath and I say to myself, okay, we're not going to get this whole to-do list done. It's not going to happen. What could we get done? How could we get it done in the best possible way without killing ourselves? That's just going to be what it is. And when you reshift the priorities and you reshift the perspective and you go for progress, not perfection, these are just things in life that at the end of the day will get you through this crazy period. And I have to say that there was a piece of me that was just like, I have no energy to even hear about joy right now, because honestly, I'm so exhausted mentally and emotionally that I'm just like, okay. And then I saw this handout and I was just like, we just have to get practical. This isn't about floaty, nice euphemisms, which are cute quotes and memes that people forward. This is about real. This is about saying, I can actually do things, tangible things, because when the world feels so out of control, the more we feel like we can do, the more joy we actually bring in.
Exactly. Small steps each day. Okay, so let's go to the next. So the next one is, your thoughts are a reality. Whatever you think is the reality. Okay, so you're in charge of your reality. So if you spend all day thinking that the world is going to end, the world's going to end for you. It will. If you think all day, I am going bankrupt, my business is going to have to close, your business is going to close, because your thoughts become your reality. We're all energy. Whatever we're putting it out in the world, we're attracting it back.
Is that also because we begin to live? Meaning, say, if a person believes their business is tanking, they're not going to put in creative marketing into it.
Yes, 100%.
Like it translates into the real stuff that we
do. You are not going to do the work. You're going to be down. The more down you are, the more you can't think positive. You can't create and be productive, because you are mourning the death of your business, or you're mourning the death of your current reality. So when you're in mourning, You sit Shiva. When you're in mourning, you don't create, right? But the more you say, okay, business sucks right now, but I'm a creative person or I'm a devoted person and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to manage through this phase. And then things are going to come back, maybe not the same. Maybe I'm going to have to change things a little bit. That's the challenge that the situation is bringing me. But if you keep hashing out some stuff that's bad, that's why I stopped listening to the news. It's 50,000 deaths or 80,000 deaths or a million deaths. How is that going to affect your minute now, your household, your family, your business? No, you have to sit and daven anyway, if it is 1, 10, or 100. It doesn't matter. So daven for humanity, daven for your community, spend that time doing that, and then go do think positive things. You know, look, my business product-based, I can tell you, sucks right now. It's so bad. You don't even understand how bad it is. Stores don't want to pay. The factory can't ship. I don't have the whole production. I don't even want the whole production now. You know, I don't know if people are going to buy. What do you do? And I'm the only, my husband doesn't work right now. He had a stroke. He's not working for 6 months. Right? So you think about, how am I going to buy bread? You know what I say? What I say to myself? I'm going to tell you exactly what I say to myself. I am Hashem's child. He loves me so much, he's going to feed me. It's his problem. It's not my problem. I will do my shtadlus. I will work a little bit here. I will work a little bit there. It could be a little hard. I told the kids, don't have every single snack there is in the house, because I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to have money to buy more snacks. So be stingy. Yeah, I did tell my kids that we need to function a little bit different. But my attitude, I'm not worried, I'm not upset, I'm not hurt, I'm not crying. Hashem, you are my Abba, and you're going to take care of me. And Bezrat Hashem, you're going to, just as you took good care of me till now, you're going to keep taking good care of me from now on. I believe
you know why it works when you say it? Because you really, in every fiber of your being, believe it.
100%.
For a lot of us, it's an exercise of, like, I call it a rubber band exercise. Like, there are these moments where I'm like, me and Hashem, we are so tight and so connected. I feel him. I know he's with me. And then there are moments, and I think others can probably relate to this, where I look at it and I'm like, okay, that's good lip service right now. It's not the feeling, the heart and the mind lost their way to each other.
But I have to tell you something. I get mad at God. My relationship with God is very close. I tell him, for goodness sakes, are you for real? You know, I will have that kind of a communication. Right. Because some people, oh, God is my king. The bigger God is, like in the title, right? The farther he is from you. I always saw God as my father.
Right. So I was going to say, I think there's a combination, right? We have Avinu and Malkinu. We have different periods in our lives where we see the Eibishter in different ways. I think for me, similar to you, I also have these conversations that are very natural for me with Hashem. And I think that for me, the times where I have the lip service times, I call them, where it's just like, I'm saying, yeah, Hashem is going to help. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, like, how this looks. I think in those times I convince myself, at least, that lip service is still a good thing, because what we tell ourselves, like you were saying, the story that we tell ourselves, we begin to believe and we begin to live that reality.
Yes. There's another thing that you can do. You can put a rubber band around your wrist. And every time that you think something negative, or even if you feel that you're not being so sincere, snap the rubber band on your hand. What happens is that the brain starts, it gives a little pinch, right? It's not super painful, but it's not comfortable either. But the brain is a muscle, and it starts learning that every time that you're thinking negative thoughts or that you're not being authentic, it stops you. It stops itself. And then you can say, okay, that, I need to rephrase this. I need to think about this differently. And you're just training from a physical perspective, you're changing your mental capacity. But
that's very interesting. I like want to like chew that over a little bit in my brain, because there's a part of me that's just like, there are times in life where I feel like a person maybe can or should kind of have those moments and then be able to bounce back. Like,
for sure. I would never snap from me being mad at God.
Right.
Not
I think every person needs to process the piece. Like, it's very interesting. I've watched in different, whether it's different family dynamics or in different places, right? There are people who, quote unquote, always need to have the happiness button pushed, right? I'm always going to be super happy, super happy. But what happens sometimes is it stifles their range of emotions. And when you shut all negative emotions, then you can never feel. And you and I have spoken about this. I think it's okay. I think just to clarify this piece, I think it's okay to feel the negative emotion. What we're saying is that we kind of want to reroute some of it at some point and say, okay, now what?
I think that the snapping of the rubber band to me is more when you're catastrophizing the situation.
Okay.
When you start thinking my world is going to end, my business is going to close, my wedding is going to fall, marriage is going to fall apart, my children are never going to get married, because there is a tremendous amount of power to words and to those thoughts. So you want to stop them. The world was created with words. There's a tremendous amount of power in words. Mm-hmm. So you have to stop. Like, for example, I used to have this, and it was just common for me that I said, I died laughing, or I'm dying, this is so funny, right? And I think that I was translating from Portuguese. I don't know, but it was very common in my language to say, oh my God, I'm dying, I'm dying. And my husband always made me stop. And he said, don't say those words, don't say those words. And because the power of the word, the negative word is out. The fact that it was a joke, you were meaning in a different way, that word has power. So you say, it's extremely funny, I'm enjoying myself, make it into a positive thing. And saying, like, for example, I can say my business is dying, or I can say my business is going to be reinvented and it's going to be much better tomorrow. It's my choice.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Wow. That was the most powerful line.
Yeah.
That shift is really very, very, very powerful. We have like 3 more minutes.
Oh my God.
So go.
Okay. I'm going to go very fast, and then I'm just going to very quickly talk about this document. Ego is the #1 enemy to joy. If you have people that you're not talking to, that they harmed you, they were bad to you, you don't need to ask for forgiveness when you didn't do anything bad, but take away your ego, mend, because you're going to feel very good. I did it this week. Trust me, if I did what I did this week, anybody can make amends to anyone. Chesed and kindness to others, that is to me the #1 joy bringing and filling your life is chesed. If I can say it in one word, altruism is what's going to make you joyful. Is when you are not the center of the world and you are not thinking all about yourself and your problems in your life, and you go out of yourself and you go take care of other people, and you start seeing different types of pain. Suddenly you start being grateful for the ones that you have, because you don't want the ones that they have. And suddenly your problems are not the worst problems in the world. And it shifts everything, and it gives you purpose. And purpose is the best brand of joy. Count your blessings. Every day, count your blessings. And when I say count of blessings, I am not saying to say, thank God that I opened my eyes and I am alive and I'm breathing and I'm walking. Not at all. I'm saying, my husband made me a cup of coffee. I didn't even need to ask. He brought it for me. I am so grateful. It's for you to look at the tiniest things in your life and remember them and write them down at night. And why am I saying that? Because if you're going to have to write at night at least 5 things that you're grateful for that happened to your day, and they are specific for the day and not something that happens every day, you're going to live your life looking for those things, because otherwise you're not going to have material when you go to bed. So you're going to be every minute looking, I need to write it. I need to write down at night, what's my blessing now? What's my blessing now? And you're going to start paying attention how many miracles we're showered with every single day and how many blessings we've got. Work on being resilient. That is the work that you have to do every single day. And that is my whole life. That's why I make my clothing to remind me to be resilient. Everything that I do is to gain strength, to become a stronger person, so then I can handle situations like that a little bit better, with a little bit more grace, without affecting the mental feeling of the whole family. And enjoy. Yes, I'm sad for I have family members that are very sick, like so many of us, right? We're davening, we're sad, we're crying for them. But Baruch Hashem, look at how many blessings I do have, because I count them every day. I write them every day. So I'm attentive to the blessings in my life. So the PDF that I have not only all of this and a lot more, but it has a guidebook for each section, which you can print the pages multiple times. And to create a habit, you have to do it for 40 days. So print as many pages as you need and just do it, but do it every single day for 40 days. It's going to become part of your life. And Bezrat Hashem Barach, that every single person who's here or listening to this live, that it should bring you joy, that your life should be happy with the ups, with the downs, but that you should always remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you so much and is taking care of you, and you don't have to do the worrying for him. Let him do the worrying for you.
Amazing. You know what? This literally couldn't have come at a better time for so many of us. And I'm just so I'm so glad we got to do this. So tell everybody how they can get the PDFs, because I have to tell you that I haven't seen that. If you can print them out and have them, they structure everything that was just said. It kind of recaps what was said, plus it gives you worksheets that you could do. It's really, really phenomenal. And when we do put it on YouTube, like I said, I'll have in the description where they can get it as well. So go ahead.
So right now, just email me, sales@mikahfashion.com. Mikah, Mikah, fashion.com. Mikah is Mikah Mocha Hashem. So sales@Mikah.
That's what it stands for?
Yes. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so this way you'll remember how to spell it. So it's mikahfashion.com. Email me, ask me. I would like the worksheets, the ebook for Joy, and I'll send it over for you free of charge.
Amazing. No, and they are so beautifully done and designed also. I looked at them and I said, worksheets could be worksheets, and this is like a pop of color and so beautiful. And you know what? I mean, I told Miriam yesterday, like as we were preparing for this live, I felt like, many women, and I think this is part of Joy, and I do want to add this, is that many women, I'm on several different groups of women in the chesed industry and women who are on the front lines. And one of them was saying, she goes, really, ladies, you're still shopping for clothes? And one person opened her mouth so well. And she says, this Yom Tif, I'm going to get dressed not to impress anyone in the hotel, not to impress anyone in shul, not to impress any of my neighbors, but because between me and Hashem, I want to bring some joy into my life, and I want to feel Yom Tiftig. And as she said that, I said, what do I want to feel? And I said, I need to feel this resilience. And that was what made me go on the site last night, and I have it in my cart, and I do plan to finish it hopefully tonight. I was like debating between two maxis that I found. But I felt like wearing this kintsugi right now is what I need to look in the mirror and say, this that's like looks like it's breaking us is going to make us so much stronger. And trust me, I'm speaking from a place of tremendous pain, and I've seen an awful lot that I haven't seen in 14 years in 1 week. And I think that so much of what you reframed for me tonight and kind of like set into place, it's like almost exciting. We're on this journey together. We're going to try to journey to joy. It's not the finish line. It's not about achievement. It's not about perfection. And we're really going to get there together. And I'm so excited for everyone who joined us. And I'm excited to have people email you for these PDFs. And The live's going to be saved hopefully for 24 hours here, and then hopefully it will be uploaded to YouTube. Mitzvah Hashem.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you again, Miriam.
My
This was so
pleasure.
special and just what I needed. It was great. It was like for me, you know. Anyway,
my pleasure. Anytime.
have a great night. Take
Great
care.
night. Bye-bye.